Oh my good God. Welcome to the From Cameras to Couches podcast, people. I'm your host, Zach Davis.
And I'm your co-host, Emmy Davis.
And we have such an insane amount of stuff to talk about from this weekend.
What a weekend it was.
I really was trying to figure out where to start with this. And I guess, the two big things we're going to cover this weekend, we, of course, like we've been talking about, have been hotly anticipating Anora. And we got to go check out Anora on Thursday night. But then we spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Knoxville Film Festival. And that was just genuinely a transcendent experience. So we're going to kind of quickly blast through this in a way that we don't typically do. I'm not going to have the same structure that we usually do. We're going to get straight into Anora, but I'm going to talk about like some brief news first, just some stuff that I wanted to bring up. First and foremost, Hiro Murai, who's a guy I've been following for quite a long time now. He did Atlanta with Donald Glover. He's done a lot of work with Childish Gambino in general. Most recently, he's been pretty popular for The Bear. He's doing a feature film. It's titled Bushido. It's about feudal Japan.
A24, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's going to be fucking awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. Next, just because he's the guy, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Love him.
His movie's finished wrapping.
With Leo.
Has finished filming. I guess it's wrapped filming. Now we wait for the long haul of seeing this movie come out, which I'm in for. Licorice Pizza was the last thing he did, and that got like a weirdly limited release. But nowadays, you can find it anywhere.
I remember watching that movie like before we really got into movies and being like, "What is this?" But like liking it, but feeling weird about liking it. And I think that just kind of really is Paul Thomas Anderson. Like, just
for sure,
liking it, but feeling weird about liking it.
Yeah, let's have a conversation about the master real quick. No, we don't have time for that. Okay, let's get straight into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about Anora. Now, if you guys have been following the podcast at all, you know that we have just been talking about Anora nonstop for the past several weeks. It's been the hot pick this year for Best Picture. I think it's going to do the run.
It was so exciting.
I
loved it.
Totally 100% lived up to the hype.
It was just fantastic.
Sean Baker has just been cooking up these stories for the past several years. He got a lot of praise for The Florida Project back in 2017, Tangerine back in the earlier 2010s, and I think Red Rocket was his most recent film. I've not seen any of these. I don't know the first thing about Sean Baker other than he's the guy that made Anora coming out of this year. So I wanted to dig into it before we saw Anora, and I'm kind of glad that we're digging into it after, because I like seeing recurring themes and stuff, but God bless, this movie is just...
It's literally so good that I'm taking people to go see it again tomorrow. One of which already came with me.
Yeah, it's gotten its wide release. In the past couple of weeks, it finally hit like 1,000 theaters, I think, and well-deserving. I think this one is going to do the numbers. So,
it's so good. It's so just nonstop,
yeah,
and like...
Absolutely.
Mikey Madison is just out of this world.
So we're gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna spoil it because at the top of this I'm going to say this movie is worth watching in theaters. It's just 100%. Truly an experience. Now, a disclaimer for younger audiences, for people that are not necessarily savvy to this, but this is explicit content with a capital E.
She's a sex worker.
It deals with Mikey Madison's character Anora as a sex worker in New York. And
they're not shy about showing.
They are not. There is nudity to go around. There's profanity. There's grunge. There's everything that you could imagine in like the New York sex worker scene. And my God, he definitely does a perfect vision of it. That's for damn sure. Wow, I really
he hired like actual strippers for like all the scenes, and like dude, they're just super impressive.
They do their job, that's for damn sure. It's interesting how the movie like operates around this idea of arousal, but doesn't do anything particularly to like tantalize the audience. It's about like the ideas that are presented, and that's typically what I look at when you're dealing with sexuality in a movie. That's the way I prefer to go about it. I'm not in this for a porno. I'm in this for
these sex scenes like aren't sexualized.
Absolutely,
like they don't feel. Yeah.
They're a, I guess, a mode of transportation for the story to present itself.
Yeah. It's not like tasteful, but like very thoughtful. Like,
undoubtedly.
And we were talking with somebody at the festival yesterday about this movie because it's just fantastic. And he mentioned the blocking and all the sex scenes. And how... What did he say about it? Like, about her eye contact and...
Yeah, it is
like,
just unbelievably well staged. Eli, you're right on the money with that. Okay, this stars Mikey Madison as Anora, I mentioned that earlier. Mark Edelstein as Vanya, her love interest in the movie. Yuri Borisov as Igor. Karen Karagulian as Toros. Those are the 4 that I listed. There's plenty of other people having a great time in this movie, but those are probably the highest build on the cast.
Heavy hitters.
So, long story short, this follows Anora, a sex worker in New York, who meets a young and peppy son of a Russian oligarch. They inevitably fall for each other, and this is much to the chagrin of Ivan's family. Or no, Ivan? Yeah, Vanya.
Vanya.
I think his name is Ivan,
yeah,
and they just Vanya is his pet name. This shit is just absolutely magnificent. Like I said, I'm not going to spoil it because I want you people to go see this, but the audacity of the first act is just so bold and brash and in your face and just sweeps you along with it. And then by the time you start rolling into the second act, it has this smoldering intensity that just builds and builds and builds and just continues to go into a Longest Night kind of second act, and then it just is a crash in the third.
It's just delightful all the way through. And
unbelievably well plotted.
So engaging. The pacing is just so well thought out. And you never... I had to pee so bad about an hour into this movie, and I had to drag myself away to go. And because I knew I would miss something because it was just non-stop. And we had to pee at the same point. You went at the perfect time.
I went.
You ran.
And came back. I did run. I ran to the bathroom and came back.
45 seconds. I was so impressed.
It's the mastery. It's the mastery. I've done it a time or two at this point. But yeah, I sat down during this scene and went pee, came back, and the scene was still happening. And I was so glad because it just was perfect. Anyway, so let's talk about Baker a little bit. So this guy, I talked about a couple of his other movies. I'm not really going to get into him because I don't know a whole lot about him. But his whole mantra, MO is a weird way of putting it. But he really just typically deals with these sex worker stories, these more grungy, poor America, working class kind of stories of just the abuse of power that
how money can be power. And
excuse me. There have been a lot of comparisons to this movie for a contemporary Pretty Woman.
That's kind of
one of the taglines for the marketing of this was Pretty Woman looks like a Disney movie next to this movie. That's a fact. I without saying too much about it, it's a really true to form and true to life story.
I've mentioned on the podcast before how the trailer for this never really enticed me. Yes, it looked beautiful. Yes, it looked entertaining. But that was kind of what I kept saying was I've seen Pretty Woman. I don't need to see that story redone. I did, and I enjoyed every single second of it. This
is absolutely the way to do it.
So good.
Yeah, Mikey Madison is outrageous in this. I think if she is not a top billed pick for Best Actress, she deserves all those flowers.
The people will riot.
It's just wrong if she doesn't get that. And also, Demi Moore in The Substance is one of the other best performances I've seen this year.
We've seen so many good performances this year. She
rivals that. Mikey rivals that in this. It's hardcore. This
is such a star-making film for her. You see that power the whole time. I was talking to Maddie about it earlier because we just cannot stop talking about this movie. And we just kept thinking about Pearl and I'm a star, and I was no, but she literally is she is a star.
I know
Pearl
Emma
wishes
Stone
she was
not
her.
actually in Pearl. I was just making a joke about the Emma Star quote. Yeah, I walked out of the theater with a "we're so back" smile on my face. I was totally floored by this. Anyway, Anora, that's a 9.5 out of 10 for me. That is as good as it's gotten this year.
Yeah,
I cannot believe how awesome this was. I hotly recommend seeing if this is playing in a theater near you. If you're willing to deal with graphic sexual content, a lot of nudity, a lot of profanity. This is worth sifting through all of that because it is truly just a story about.
And I almost want to say like they're not in your face with it, but like the opening shot is literally a stripper's booty in a little thong, and
booty,
and it is quite in your face. But like it's just the way that it's done is so interesting because it doesn't feel. Like you said, it doesn't feel like you're watching a porno. Like, it doesn't really, like, you're, you know.
I frame a lot of this stuff.
Like, that this might sound bad, but, like, it didn't make me uncomfortable.
No.
Like,
I frame a lot of this stuff with sexuality as, Boogie Nights is, like, my top build pick, right? Like, just the way that sitting through the Julianne Moore scene and Dirk Diggler scene, and the first time you're sitting through that, you're like, I cannot believe like what I'm going through. And there's
not really any scenes.
There's
like
comic relief in that scene. There's a really excellent cut in that scene. That
I love that.
But it goes back, like it justifies itself to me by going and showing Julianne Moore and Mark Wahlberg doing this porno together, and then it cuts back to like the inside of the camera and like kind of. You have that moment of like what the magic of something being captured on film is, and like also the horror that goes into that, and the abuse of that industry and that kind of stuff. It makes you think about all these things, and that's what I think is the merit of something like that.
And Anora does the same thing. Like
Absolutely.
You're not focused on what's happening necessarily on screen. You're kind of like given the opportunity to think about.
Yeah, Mom, it's art.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mom. I know that you're probably dying inside, but...
No, we'll be fine. So, that's Anora. We're just going to briefly touch on it. I almost feel bad, but then we proceeded to have 3 days of, like, the best movie watching I've ever had in my life. So, let's get into it with the Knoxville Film Festival.
Dude, what an experience.
For starters, I would just like to say... Thank you to everybody that was involved with this.
Thank you if you made a movie. Thank you if you were in a movie. Thank you if you did anything with the festival. Thank you to the sponsors.
This is what it's about.
I'm so grateful we were able to experience this.
The program that they put together, the movies that they were able to do,
incredible.
Just top notch stuff. I was
there was not
totally
a bad
blown away
movie.
by it. No, not at all. Kim Bumpus, president of Visit Knoxville, Darren Hughes, the artistic director of the festival, Kurt Willis, Paul Harrell, all these people worked really, really hard to put this together, and
clearly
absolutely killed it.
You see, like, the time and care that they put into this. Like, thank you. Thank you guys.
You guys are awesome. Darren was there introducing, like, most of the films. He always had something to say about them. And, like, truly... all of these people that put it together and everybody that was involved with making a film, everybody that was even in just attendance, you guys are the best. Like, this was a truly great community experience for us to go in and get. So I'm just glad to see a bunch of people loving what they're doing. And this is, like I said, this is the beating heart of this industry, is getting to see people that are really going out there and really taking risks, and they don't have, the support that somebody's going to get in Los Angeles or New York. And a lot of those people never see the light of day in Los Angeles and New York, but I think it is so unbelievably cool to showcase some of that stuff at this festival, and that they did. The MO for this festival was to showcase and advocate for personal, ambitious regional cinema made outside of the industrial centers of Los Angeles and New York, to champion stories we've never heard before, films that take risks and succeed in pulling them off. They delivered on that promise in every single quadrant. I mean,
I can't say it, and I can't say it anymore. Like, every film did something to me. Like, every film affected me in some way, and like this was just such a wild and whiplashing experience, and just, oh my gosh, it was a roller coaster, and I loved every single second of it.
Yeah, massive kudos to seriously to Darren Hughes for just like the consistency of the thematic nature of most of these movies. I mean, there's a very big through line with a lot of these movies, and like even with some of the revival projects and that kind of stuff, I was absolutely floored by. Really well thought out scheduling. Yeah, like the way that he put like a few dramas together and stuff like that, and then he'd throw in like a dramedy or just kind of to switch the mood to give you a little reprieve, and
and not ending, because Empire was the final film of the festival, and which we missed because we were at that party.
The after party.
The party. But EFIS being like the last film before the awards was so smart, because it was
good closing note.
Oh my gosh, we'll talk more about that movie later, but like just great scheduling. Well done.
Absolutely. So, like I said earlier, this took place for us over Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There were some events that happened on Thursday that we weren't.
We went to Anora.
We went to Anora.
I had to go see. That was the first night it was available.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that we didn't get to go to them. But yeah, this was in 2 different theaters at the Regal Riviera in downtown Knoxville off of Gay Street. They reserved, I think it was theaters 1 and 2, and just alternated showtimes between the 2 of them. This included features, full-length features. It included shorts. It included events showcasing local work. There were also some workshops that we didn't get to attend for local filmmakers and screenwriters, and just so much support for the Knoxville community, which is a big talking point of this weekend, was how much this has grown and how much this area has become like one of the best places for filmmakers to work. Like the support that they're shown and just the community that's involved, and
which is just incredible that that's in our backyard. Like, what a blessing!
Yeah, definitely. It was 100% shown throughout all of this. So features included the aforementioned American regional works, the stuff that was made outside of New York and LA that they really wanted to showcase there. And there were a total of 5 American regional films that were competing for Best Film. The winner was going to be awarded with a Oscar qualifying theatrical run in 10 different cities supported by Regal, which is just unbelievably cool.
You don't see that. That's amazing.
It was so cool to go from like feature to feature to feature and just be like, I don't know which one. I don't know which one I want to pick. Like, and there's a panel of judges that voted on all this stuff, but I was sitting there the whole time like, this is incredibly hard to decide.
Yeah.
This the Q&A that happens after almost every screening of one of these features was super personal. It was
whether
awesome
with
meeting all these
the
directors.
director, whether with actors, and like I don't know, like it's so. We've never done anything like that before. We've never been around that many people that are as passionate and more passionate about movies.
Yeah, these are the people on the ground. Like we just sit here and talk about this
and
stuff.
We just watch them and talk about it.
Yeah.
But like this is just, it was incredible. And like you said, the Q&As were amazing. Like just I loved it.
No.
I can't. It
my
was so amazing.
My enthusiasm is being is being barred by the clipping of the microphone, so I'm trying not to be like too loud and excited about this, but I was sitting there like wanting to shout how much I loved this the whole time.
My enthusiasm is being barred by the lack of sleep, because that was something else, dude. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, we had some long days. Saturday was
which like I did not
the
mind
longest day
until I was
it's amazing how you can like
home.
sit down and have 6 show times, and then you get home and you're just like, all right, and I'm gonna collapse into a puddle now. I talked about the features a little bit. The shorts were another big part of the program. They were split up between the Made in Tennessee program, which was 2 separate blocks over Saturday and Sunday, and the elevator pitch program, which was another thing. The Made in Tennessee shorts, the 2 separate blocks that happen on Saturday and Sunday, is an opportunity for local teams to showcase their work on the big screen. And the elevator pitch was a program where 21 different teams were chosen to develop and produce short films as a proof of concept for a feature film.
There were 2 features in the Made in Tennessee program, right? There was Angel of Light, and then Glass Valley was technically a feature.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were also a couple of shorts that there was an international short that was shown. I guess it was an intra-American short, but it dealt with international topics. And there was another short that was shown after one of the features, but that was by the same creative director. But yeah, the elevator pitch, they had a top 8 that were screened on Thursday night, followed by screenings of the rest on Saturday, and there were some good buzzwords coming out of this one. I didn't get to catch any of the elevator pitch stuff. I did get to go to the first block of the Made in Tennessee shorts, which I will be getting into later, because hot damn, there were some good ones. But yeah, let's talk about some of the stuff we saw. Let's just dig right into it. So full disclosure, I just want to say this at the top. I am in no way, shape, or form affiliated with Film Knoxville, or the program at all. I absolutely love it. We are just people that were like, hey, look, the film festival is going to be in town. Let's go check it out. And just blew my socks off. I just, so much good stuff to see. So Friday night, we started. I took Friday off of work. I was like, all right, I'm going to prepare myself. This is going to be a real treat. We get up to Knoxville. We start by missing Griffin and Summer, which everybody told us was the one that we should not have missed over the weekend. And damn, I'm going to be hunting that movie down as soon as I get the opportunity. Because if it had anything to show against the rest of these, I just...
That being said, the movie we did see was very good.
Yeah, we checked out Northern Lights, which was a restoration of a 1979 film that follows a farmer helping to form the Farmers Union in 1915 and 1916. Beautifully shot in black and white. This movie was like the perfect opener to this.
Incredibly enlightening. Like, just super good story, but like more than anything, I mean...
It's a working class story.
Yeah, and
it's about like
just learning about the League, because that was what their little
it's Backbone of America Corps.
Like, very good,
and it was really, really stellar. It was a slow burn for sure, and
100%.
Some people are going to be turned off by that, but I'm not. That's the kind of stuff that I just eat up, fork and knife. I'm all about it. That was just a great introduction to the festival. And by the time we got out of that, we were like, okay, we're getting ready to just kick this off. So we continued our kickoff with All That We Love.
Oh my gosh.
This is an American regional film. This is one of the 5 that was competing, directed by Yen Tan. And this follows a
divorcee who, at the beginning of the movie, loses her dog. And it kind of just... Tanner. And it deals with her grief. It deals with the relationship that she has with her daughter, that she has with her ex-husband, that her ex-husband has with her daughter, that she has with her friend who lost his...
Don't forget her best friend.
Yeah, well, her best friend, who's played by... Oh my gosh, what's his name? Jesse?
Jesse Tyler Ferguson, yeah.
Thank you. Mitchell Pritchett from Modern Family.
This
Imagine a world in which Cam dies.
I dubbed him in my notes. Yeah, I was like, I dubbed him in my notes as F-word Mitchell because he was allowed to just go fucking off in this movie.
It's great. He literally, and I loved it.
It was such a joy. He is absolutely just having a blast with this role, and I mean, in a role that it's pretty hard to have a blast in. Because,
I mean, seriously, like I feel like, and you've said this. His story about him and his husband, Craig, who he has lost, is the most, like, the backbone of this. It is the most touching. That was not even the backbone, but just, like...
Dare I say that was the most powerful thread of that movie.
Yes.
And towards the end of the movie where we were going into the Q&A...
after the movie.
Yen was talking about how this was directly influenced by, like, a real situation in
where
his life.
He lost his dog, and then he had written this, and he said like 8 years after he wrote all that, his husband,
his partner, passed away.
25 years, died, and like that is just, oh my gosh. And as he's filming this movie, he had lost another dog, and like just the way that you see,
it's the intersect of like art and life. I mean, like it really is.
His grief is like he deals with it so well through this movie, and he makes it so beautiful and so funny, and like I really liked this movie, and I genuinely, it's one of the many from the festival that I'm excited and hoping to see in theaters, and that I can take people to, because it was just very touching and very funny, and I loved it.
It's just branching off of what you said about like just getting the opportunity to see all this stuff in theaters. Every single one of these movies deserves a theatrical release.
100%.
And it was hard for me to just like keep going through and being like, I can't pick a favorite. Like I can't pick a one that deserves the top slot. I have some personal favorites, but we'll just keep moving.
Not one that was necessarily like the best, like
definitely. They all had great just sense of purpose, sense of self. I really think that this is above amateur filmmaking. This is far from what I was anticipating going into this. This stuff is expert level. This is the lifeblood of making movies, is dealing with these personal stories. And there was a lot of stuff about grief and trauma and healing and coping, and I think that was just magical to see all these personal stories told. So All That We Love, just excellent. Starred Margaret Cho as Emma, the main character, Kenneth Choi as her ex-husband, Alice Lee as Maggie, her daughter, Jessie Tyler Ferguson, who we talked and raved about, and Missy Pyle as Kayla, her colleague and foster dog connoisseur. Overall, like, Yen, way to go.
It's so good.
This is
beautifully shot.
Yes,
well directed.
Definitely. Very, very deceptively funny. Like,
yes, like
that's another through line and stuff like this. It was so cool to see a lot of this stuff playing for an audience. Just because it was amazing to see what the groups found funny. Yeah, it truly, like, great audiences, people that clearly love going and seeing these movies, going and seeing the unintentionally funny parts and the parts that are purposely funny that just work just as well. It incredibly charming and heartfelt, deeply personal story, a beautiful story about coping. It was a really, really just a joy to watch. Okay, that was our second one. I'm really glad that we got to catch that one. But it was
amazing.
We're going to move on to our next in the revival program. I think this was actually the last one that we saw in the revival program. Desert Hearts was the next one on Sunday.
Saturday.
That was on Saturday. Yeah. But we checked out Let's Scare Jessica to Death, which is a revival of a 1971 cult horror movie.
Wow.
This movie is about gaslighting.
This movie is about gaslighting.
This movie is about gaslighting women. It follows a recently institutionalized Jessica as she moves out to the countryside with her husband and friend to restore a farmhouse.
I mean, she I guess I see it. Never mind. I see what you're saying. Redacted.
Renege. She's quickly pressured by visions and, like, bizarre experiences that seem to be signs of her insanity returning, and people just keep reassuring her that, we're gonna have to take you back to the hospital and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and she's like, you'll never believe me.
Truly wonderful cold horror stuff. It has, like, this perfect sense of town-wide scope. Plays its hand, like, very, very slowly and deliberately and methodically, and I was just really, really impressed by. I love cold horror stuff.
It's like you're eating a bowl of rice, one grain at a time. Like you're just getting, like, little bits. It was
so awesome. I really loved, like, Jessica. The actress for Jessica was just.
She was so, delusional, and, like, in the best way. Like, the fact that she smiles 90% of the movie.
Yeah, she's just got, like, this goofy grin on her face the entire time.
Like, even when something, like, kind of weird happens, she's just, like, smiling.
Yeah. Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I don't have, like, a ridiculous amount to say about it. I pretty much said my piece on it, but it was just a blast. That capped off our Friday night. We proceeded to go home and realized what we were getting ourselves into and slept until we awoke the next morning, hung out for a bit, and then proceeded on with our day 2 on Saturday. This started off with a showing of a short, followed by a showing of an international feature. Anora y la Distancia was the first short that we saw, and this was a very brief story about a woman who doesn't have the power to change anything.
Yes.
And the trouble that she deals with. She's a Cuban woman living in America, trying to send money to her son to immigrate to America. She gets a voicemail from her son right at the opening of the film that says, "Mom, I'm out of money. I owe money to these coyotes that are taking me across the border," and she can't get back in touch with them. And it's just about a very, like, personal, touching, scary story about, just the reality of this kind of life for a lot of people. And just, like, the worry that comes with that. There's a really, really great shot. It does not end happily. There's no, like, big coming together moment at the end of it. But there's a really, really excellent shot at the end of it where she's sitting on the beach with this bird cage. And she's been going back to her apartment. You see her feeding her parrot and stuff. And you see that there's no bird in the bird cage. I was really moved by just how poignant this was. And
this was kind of like, and unfortunately, I did not go see many short films. You went to see that block. I went to go see a feature. But this was kind of one of my first experiences with short films that weren't, like, on YouTube.
Yeah.
And just, it's really incredible to me how people can make something so so poignant in such a short time. Because
Yeah,
this was
sure.
like a 10, 12 minute,
Yeah,
if that, maybe like 8, but
just perfectly communicated its themes.
Exactly. Like, and every, like, obviously with a short film you can't have any fat to trim, but there was no fat to trim. Like, every shot had purpose, and you felt every bit of it.
It was so good. So this was immediately followed by Dahomey, which is
Dahomey.
This is a contemporary dramatized documentary about the transport of culturally significant sculptures from France
and other artifacts
to the African country of Benin, formerly Dahomey, and ultimately, like, beautifully told. And it's about the fear of losing culture and ultimately colonialism and what that did to affect the world. And like there's this great way that the story is told where it does a lot of monologuing from the perspective of one of the statues and the memories of one of the statues as it's being transported back. And
just super cool stuff. Like, I genuinely can say that I've never ever seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And it was, I loved, they did like sequences. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of dialogue. It's just a lot of
the dialogue starts to pick up towards the final, 30 minutes of the movie where it's transitioned, the statues have come back, and you're starting to see like the people visiting and identifying like the pieces of themselves that they find in the statue, the pieces of their culture that they do, and seeing them grapple with that and like having a hard time finding out whether or not that this kind of culture is something they want to recapture.
There's this great like sequence that they keep revisiting of like this debate that's happening, and it's just
top notch.
It's just like a large group of people. There's a few people in front,
but
like,
a lot,
podiums,
mostly young people.
Yes, it feels like college students, and they're discussing like how like they never learned about their culture. Like these artifacts aren't personally significant to them because they didn't even know that they were taken until they heard that they were being brought back, and that they're just the robbing of their culture.
Yeah,
like, it's just because of the colonization. One
of my favorite points that highlighted that was like them talking about how they had learned about their culture and they didn't learn it in their native language. They learned it in French.
Yes.
And
they're all speaking French, and like it was
powerful.
really
really powerful. Really just a perspective that we don't often get. And one that I was just incredibly moved by. I was like, this is top notch stuff. So applause
going into
all around.
A documentary like this, I was not. I mean, I wasn't pumped up.
Yeah,
I can't even.
You don't know what to expect.
Documentaries are hard to get pumped up for, but this was like very good stuff. Not like, I don't know. I was just thinking about documentaries, and I started thinking about 12 Days in Mariupol, and it's not. It's very different from that, but I would say it is as engaging as that as far as documentaries go.
I guess 12 Days in Mariupol is really the only doc that we've watched in full length together, and that, I mean...
Well, in recent years.
Yeah, if you have not seen 12 Days in Mariupol, I recommend, like, preparing yourself for one of the hardest watches of your life and having a box of tissues ready, because it
Grab
is
your anxiety medication.
Unbelievable story about the first 12 days of the Russian assault in Ukraine, in Mariupol. That shit hits. Okay, yeah, Dahomey. I'm trying to like glaze through these in a manner where I'm giving enough respect to the movies themselves, but also moving at a clicking pace. But yeah, let's move on from Dahomey, which was just fantastic. The next one we caught was Bitterroot. This was the next Showtime on our list, and this was directed by Vera Brunner-Sung, set and shot in rural Montana. This follows the story of a Laotian man dealing with his emotions after a failed marriage, all while caring for his Asian mother. Very reminiscent.
Aging mother, sorry, it sounded like it sounded like you said Asian mother, and I was like, well,
she's Laotian. I mean, it's not wrong.
No, but
this movie is incredibly reminiscent of something like Minari.
100%, and that was something I like. Even reading the synopsis, I was like, wow. It's even called Bitterroot. I mean, Bitterroot, Minari.
There was a consistent between All That We Love and this, like seeing the Asian American cinema, which I absolutely love, the resurgence or foundation that's been shown for the past couple of years, because there's been a huge influx of movies like these. All That We Love doesn't really deal with
race
culture.
Or
it doesn't really deal with like Asian Americans grappling to deal with American culture. It's really just like a story about Americans that are Asian.
They're just people. Like, that literally is just people dealing with grief and various kinds of grief in various different ways.
Bitterroot, on the other hand, was very, very invested in Laotian culture. And I thought it was pretty amazing because the director was talking about how this isn't something that gets highlighted very often, especially these small communities like Montana,
right?
And these rural towns where there.
I mean, there's like a little karaoke bar where everybody hangs out and they all just perform incredible karaoke performances. It's so fun. No. I love every karaoke scene is delightful.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a real boozer for karaoke scenes, but this made me think about how much I love fly fishing.
Oh my gosh.
And Montana.
Yeah.
Just wow.
Beautiful set. Like
yeah, there could have been no better setting for this story. But really, really good stuff all around. I thought this one was pretty damn good. I don't have too much to say about it, and again, I'm trying not to like spoil too much about how the plots of these stories work, because I want you guys to experience them for yourselves when you get the opportunity.
A lot of these movies, it's hard to talk about what was so great about them without kind of getting into the plot, and there's a couple that I have noted for later that I'm just gonna blast through just for the sake of getting it done. But that was Bitterroot. That was our second screening on Saturday. So Emily and I then split up. Emily went to the feature The Damned, and I went to the Tennessee Shorts block. Flip a coin. Who wants to go first? I'll go ahead and talk about The Damned. Hold on. Somewhere there they are. Found my notes. So this movie premiered at Cannes. It was also showed at TIFF and the New York Film Festival. It is so interesting, and the Q&A afterwards, which is the case for a lot of the movies we saw, like, answered so many of the like qualms that I had.
Can you put a Q&A after every movie
literally
that I watched
like,
for the
okay,
rest of
so
my
I guess
life?
Can I just have director's cut for everything, basically, or director's commentary, sorry. But yes, so the Q&A was done with two of the actors in this movie. It's a father-son duo who play a father and son in the movie, and like, it was so cool. They're farmers from Texas, and the director stumbled upon them at a farmer's market, wanted to shoot a scene at their farm, ended up putting them in another movie before this, and then put them in this movie. And the director had a really interesting vision for this movie. It's a Civil War movie about this volunteer group that kind of patrols the western border, or the western United States in general. And dude, he basically had like a screenplay, but did not give a lot of script and just lets them be themselves. And it's so cool to see like these people so naturally in these roles, and just super enjoyable, very Boy Scout coded kind of thing. I literally called my dad as soon as it was over, and I was like, you would love this movie. Deals with faith in a lot of beautiful ways. I mean, you kind of have four figures that are all like representative of a different religious view, and it just plays really well. It was super enjoyable. Very like slice of life meets war.
That's what you're saying.
And there's some good, well shot like shooting sequences and stuff like that. And yeah, just
I wish I could.
Opening shot was two wolves ripping apart this deer, and it actually was put in the movie because one of the guys that plays one of the sons, he just loved wolves, and so the director was like, "Okay, put him in there." He's like, "Let's do it."
What does it take to kill a wolf?
Well, we'll get into that later.
Talk about that in a bit.
We'll get into that later. Beautifully shot. I mean, we're in the West, and we're in the snow, and there's, at the very end of the movie, there's this scene where two of the soldiers look up at the sky, and like snow is falling and collecting on their beards, and the sun is shining on them, and it's
that's the shot that was on a lot of the program material for it, and truly the one that like immediately got me interested in it. And I branched off.
I just kind of had one more thing to say, to revisit about like
segue too early.
The faith of this movie. And as a Catholic, and just, I loved it. I loved seeing the young boy make the cross out of twigs and rope and just sweet stuff. And
it's about what we bring. It's about what you have.
Like the actor, one of the actors was talking about how like this was his third time seeing the movie, and the first 2 times he was like trying to kind of get it, and then at the end of this showing he was like, oh, like, and he discussed like I'd have to revisit the voice recording I took of the Q&A to know exactly what he said, but basically he was talking about like the representation, the biblical representation that he saw, and he's like, and I don't even know if that was the director's vision, but like as a man of faith, that's what I pulled from it.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was super cool.
No, I genuinely just love to see
it. It was a great
like
movie. I liked it a lot. I hope it comes to theaters. Hope I can go see it with my dad.
Yeah, I will definitely be keeping an eye out for that one. Which, by the way, my plans for the next couple of months are to follow. I've been following all of these movies, all these directors on social media, and I want to see like when they come to distribution, when they come to VOD, so I can tell you guys like,
we have a couple.
It's there now. Go check it out.
We have like I think 2 that we can give you either dates for or a little bit of information about.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I think a third one too.
Well, yeah, I guess technically 3.
Yeah. Okay, so while you were watching The Damned, I was watching the Tennessee Shorts, and I'm gonna blast through these with some highlights. But this was an incredibly good showing. Like after sitting through like not necessarily a bunch of somber movies, there's incredibly well paced stuff all around here. But it was nice to just get like a breakneck shifting between a bunch of different ideas. So this kicked off with The Legend of Bill, directed by Jacob Birmingham. This was an animated short about a duck that gets into a truck race with a wolf, and it was just really fun. It was just really fun.
Like when you say truck, do you mean like?
I'm talking like Bill, the duck, is like, very like represented as like a not like a good old boy, but just like badass Hank Hill.
Badass Hank Hill is awesome.
Jacob, if you're listening to this, I hope you get that. But I just, it was just a really, really fun, well stylized animated short. I really enjoyed this one. The next one was The Booth. This was a film that follows a couple. I guess really like in particular the guy in the relationship, but it's all done in one shot. And it follows like them inside of this bar, flipping between different times, different circumstances, different things that they're talking about in their relationship. Just very fun, very cool. It was well shot. I mean, it was genuinely impressive to see like the shift in lighting between all the present scenes and the past scenes and all that kind of stuff. I just love that. It's just
you
cool
said
to
it
see
was
that
all
on
one
level.
shot. Is it focused on one?
It's
thing,
flipping between,
or like was it all
like it starts with him sitting at the bar, and then in one smooth motion goes to them sitting in a booth in the past and talking about their relationship, and then like back to him at the bar, and then back over to them playing
so it kind of uses like a
and,
swing as a transition.
Very much akin to, I mean, it reminded me a lot of like just those great one-shot sequences, like the opening scene of Boogie Nights and that kind of stuff, where you just see, certainly not on a technical achievement level like that, but just like to see an amateur vision of that, it was just fun. I love stuff like that. Like that's when I am thinking about screenwriting and when I'm thinking about scenes that I want to make, that like bottled chaos of just keeping everything in one room and just having it all erupt is one of my like favorite ideas. Stay tuned for that. I've got some ideas. That was The Booth. Moving on to the next one was The Buoyancy of Apples. This was about a young girl grappling with loss. Once again, like I said, this is a big theme of this festival, and the way that she copes with it. And it was really cool to hear her talk about this in the aftermath of the Q&A, because she was relating this to a lot of her personal experiences after her great aunt passed away. And I don't want to give away.
What's the name of the director? I'm sorry.
Tori Mills. And she was talking about like an experience that's in the film that directly related to her relationship with her aunt when she passed away. And it was just really, really well paced.
So many personal
I thought it was
stories.
Very smart.
Like,
yeah, this is what it's about.
Them. Like really, truly people telling their stories and doing it well.
It's the majesty of truth. I mean,
it's beautiful.
It's really fantastic. So, Buoyancy of Apples, awesome stuff. How to Sue the Klan. This was the big pick. Spoilers, this is the one that won Best Short. This is a 35-minute documentary following the events of a group of black women who were attacked by the Ku Klux Klan in 1980s Chattanooga, and how they secured their justice. I put justice in quotes, through legal action. And it really, really smart documentary. Like, it does such a good job of showing the original articles talking about this kind of stuff. It did such a good job, like, really giving you good testimonies from people involved. Ended on, like, just a really beautiful, inspiring note. I really enjoyed this one. I do think it well deserved the Best Short. I'm running out of breath.
Director on that one, sorry. I just want to make sure we mention them all.
That was John Bader. Just really good stuff. I was thoroughly impressed by that one. If you get the opportunity to look this up, I will keep you posted on when it comes out, but it is 100% worth sitting through. The next one was the shortest one on the list. This was Close the Door by director Michelle Ford, and I actually got to talk to Michelle a little bit about this afterwards. So hi, Michelle, if you're listening. This movie, or this short, was 3 minutes long, and maybe, I didn't count, but maybe had 10 lines of dialogue. Wow. This one hit on a personal note for me. It deals with this couple and showing how they're differently coping with a miscarriage, like a late-term miscarriage. It just really, really incredible, like, plotting, revealing, really hitting home at the end, and then it just ends, and you're just like, oh shit. Oh, it was really good. So, Michelle, you absolutely killed this one. I thought it was so awesome. All right, this is the big one. This is my personal favorite. Eli, bro, Eli and Callie, you guys rock. Bless her heart. This is Eli Heaton and Callie Bacon's submission into the Made in Tennessee shorts. I was like side splitting laughing through all of this. I've actually, Eli and I have gotten to know each other because he was in, or my little brother Danny was in one of his shorts a couple of years ago, and he gave me the opportunity to come work on set with them just while I was like trying to get into the interest of film and the process behind it and all that stuff. So I got to meet Eli and Callie a couple of years ago, and damn, this was so fun. I got to talk to them a lot about it just over the course of the weekend, and it's the story, like a raucous story, but also like very clearly deeply personal, and impersonal in the same stroke. But it deals with a young woman and the relationship she has with people at this funeral. She's going to, like, I think her great aunt's funeral, and she just like gets to talk to people there, and they just have some excellent exchanges, and it's just, you know, it's a very where I'm at in my life story. It was so unbelievably funny. Mason was, I can't remember his last name, but he was one of the actors in this, and this is actually, who was the other actor that was in? There was another movie that one of the actors was in at this show. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, it was Luke Ashley as Ben Martin in Angel of Light. We'll get around to Angel of Light, but Luke was also in this one, and just there are some incredibly just perfect comedic moments in this one. I had so much fun just sitting through this. It was 13 minutes long. Raucously funny. I thought it was just an
I can't wait to watch it.
Lights out one. Yeah, I will
like,
definitely be keeping
dying.
an eye out to see that. Eli, you hear me? Send me the send me the MP4, bro. No, very, very, very fun stuff. Great showings all around. I saved the best for last. There were a couple others that were shown at the Tennessee Shorts 2 the next day. We missed that slot. We had a prior engagement that morning. But yeah, I just really had a blast just shooting through all these different short films, just seeing the creativity that's on display here, seeing people, you know, really get to exercise what they're wanting to do in the film industry. It was such fun. And then getting to, you know, listen to everybody talk about it in the Q&A. the two of the crew members from How to Sue the Clan got to go up there and talk about it. Eli and Callie were both up there talking. The director of Buoyancy of Apples was up there, and of course Michelle, the director of Close the Door. And it was just so fun. It was just so fun seeing like all these people that are just so engaged in this idea, or in their ideas individually. And you guys are awesome. You're seriously like this is innovation. This is how the bread gets made. I just love it. So that was the end of the short showings. I really had a lot of fun just catching up on all of these. I do honorably. I have an honorable mention for this one. One that we did not get to see at the Tennessee Shorts too, but I got to talk to the filmmakers of last night. We were kind of mingling at the after party, and I got
wonderful people.
Kai, Neil, and
Miyuki.
Miyuki,
you're amazing.
They did Midnight Noon, which was a short film about a fetus that asks her future self if she wants to be born, and it just
if it's worth being born.
Sorry. And just getting to talk with Kai about how he, comes up with the ideas for this thing, how the expression of art and all of that stuff really blends into our personal lives. And
Neil did the music for it, and like him talking about that was
getting
really
to talk
incredible.
to Neil about how he scored it was awesome. And go check out Neil on YouTube. He has a channel where he's doing covers of music, and it's called Stuck in My Head, or It's Stuck in My Head. I definitely check that out. He's got some massive talent. But this whole team, they literally approached us while we were just sitting and kind of talking amongst ourselves at the festival, and I was just so unbelievably glad to talk to these people. I mean, you guys just rock. That's my honorable mention. Anyway, moving on. So next, we came back together, and we got to go see Bob Trevino Likes It. Now, like I said at the top of this, I'm trying to keep my personal bias out of this. This movie is outrageous. This movie is so good.
I cannot wait to take anybody to this movie.
Because,
wow, how incredibly accessible. It is just
dude, I could not stop
what a
thinking
great
about
comedy.
This one.
How heartfelt, how just, oh my gosh, Barbie Ferreira absolutely murders her role as Lily Trevino.
Yeah,
she kills it. She's outstanding.
The basic premise of the story is it's a dark comedy. I say comedy like
it's a dramedy.
It is a dramedy, but the comedy aspects of it are so outstanding. It follows the story of Lily Trevino, a sweet and naive young 20-something woman.
She's 25.
In a comically and painfully abusive relationship with her dad. Emotionally abusive in particular. But she, after a fight with her dad, tries to look him up on Facebook and find somebody with his same name, and they become like really fast friends. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Wow. I was floored by this one. It was so heartfelt, so immediately personal, which we got around to in the Q&A where...
I think it's super fitting to say, I laughed, I cried, it moved me, Bob.
Yeah, for damn sure. Tracy Lehman directed this and wrote it, and she was talking in the Q&A about just how that was a true story. Like how she just reached out to somebody on Facebook that shared her dad's name, and they became like really good friends, and like
he impacted her life so greatly, and just
like what the fuck? Are you kidding me? That is amazing.
This is one of them that we learned already has distribution. It's going to be hitting some theaters in March, I think, is what when we were talking to Tracy, what she said.
Yeah, and I will be promoting that.
We'll be talking about it again at some point, I promise, because. Dude.
So smartly and powerfully scripted. There's a lot of really good camera work.
No downtime.
Showcasing Lily's mentality at certain points. She uses a tilt shift aspect that just magic. By the time we got out of this movie, I was like, how in the hell is anything going to top this at this festival? I thought it was so fun. It was like Emily said, it was accessible. It was something that immediately I was like, this is a wide release movie that people will go see this.
Again, I'm just a guy talking into a microphone,
right?
And I'm not here to say there was a best movie, but this was my personal favorite. Like this is one that I can see myself like revisiting as a comfort movie a lot.
This was like hotly contested for the top spot.
Can't wait to see it again.
Bob Trevino Likes It. Look it up on IMDb. Watch the trailer for it. It is just absolutely magic. I thought this was awesome. I guess we didn't even mention John Leguizamo plays.
Oh yeah,
I have the cast list here as Barbie Ferreira as Lily Trevino.
You might know her from Euphoria.
Yeah. John Leguizamo as the only Bob Trevino that matters. French Stewart as the other Bob Trevino, and Lauren Spencer as Daphne, who is Lily's kind of roommate.
Lily works as a live-in
residential assistant.
Yeah, so she takes care of Lily. Or no, sorry, she takes care of Daphne.
Yeah. Overall, I like heart emoji to this movie. This shit was unbelievably good.
The amount of times that I passed Tracy and I was just like, I loved it, incredible. Like throughout the weekend.
Another thing that's cool, like during the awards ceremony, we're sitting behind Tracy, so we like get to talk to her about it afterwards and that kind of stuff. Which is so just sidebar. How intimate this was, and like seeing people between screenings. We made friends between screenings.
How many people
Megan, if you're listening, hello. It was so fun hanging out with you. But it just like, you don't get to do that shit everywhere. You don't get to do that at... This is our first film festival. I can't imagine it's the same way as like TIFF or Telluride or Cannes or anything like that.
It can't possibly be that intimate. Like there are so many more people.
There were like 300 to 500 people that were attending the festival total. And it was like you got to see the consistency between what people were going to see different things and just talk to everybody about
and it was fun to see like the people that you'd be like, oh, they didn't go to see that movie, but they did go to see this one. Yeah. Like that just was super enjoyable.
The audiences were just top notch in this. I'm so glad that we got to do this. And now I'm just rambling. Okay, so we finished Bob Trevino. We moved into To Kill a Wolf, which is directed by Kelsey Taylor. This was spoilers. I'm not going to talk too much about the awards at the end of this because I just want to talk about how good the movies are. But To Kill a Wolf is the one that won Best Picture.
Yes.
So this one will be getting a full theatrical release in 10 cities. This movie rocked. At the first 40 minutes of it, I was just guessing where it was trying to go. Yeah, Rachel Nicole. This is made for you. I almost said Davis again. This is a modern retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. And it follows the story of a guy who's kind of a social pariah who finds a teenage runaway in the woods. And as she slowly reveals her story, the real wolves start to show their faces. Or I guess the real wolf. This movie had a perfect bastard in it. Like, wowee.
Dude, me and Jess, we were talking about that last night. Like, Jason Bateman and Juno vibes. Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Michael Esper plays... I can't say anything about it. This movie rocks, and when it comes to theaters, you have got to see it. I really, really, really thought it was awesome.
Madison Brown, star. She's the star. She does so well. I mean, just a great job playing like this innocent girl that is going through something traumatic.
Yvonne Martin has like some very standout moments in this. He plays the woodsman that finds her, and he is in his own right grappling with a lot of things that mistakes in his life and that kind of stuff, and there's a moment towards the end of this movie where it really just comes to a head, and I was incredibly moved by it. I thought it was so awesome.
Great like reconciliation with like his past and just I don't know, beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
great movie, just good movie. Yeah. Rachel, that one's for you and me.
Kill a Wolf.
We're gonna go see it.
It will be coming around. It'll be coming to Regal theaters near you if you have Regal theaters near you. If not, move down to Knoxville. Okay, our last showing of Saturday night. What a great showing. Angel of Light, directed by Cruz Smith. Holy fuck! This was my favorite movie of the festival. This was so great. After 5 show blocks, this was our 6th movie of the day, and it still was immensely enjoyable. We had been sitting in like the back rows for the entire day. We didn't have enough room because there were so many damn people at this premiere, which it was the premiere of this movie. It had been previously tech screened before, but it had never been shown to a full audience. Holy shit. This movie blew me away. I told Crew a couple times afterwards, because again, I just could not stop gushing to the directors about how much I loved their stuff. But I told him, I was like, dude, number 1, I've been looking for a good plot twist movie for a while, and number 2, I have not been gotten by a plot twist like this in a long time. And like a plot twist is almost facetious to say, right? But but just the snap, like that's the best way to describe. Like pump the brakes, dude! You're gonna give me a fucking heart attack. Oh my gosh, unbelievable. The cast is brilliant.
oh my gosh, that he talked about the set design a little bit and how his mom like does purposefully, she works as an interior designer and she wanted to do the set design for this, and he was like, you have to make it bad because it's set in this like the South, like
the terminology that he used for that is great, but I want to talk about the plot of the film.
Yeah, sorry,
touch,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
But this is about a used car salesman that's grappling with a cancer diagnosis. He finds out that he's like terminally ill and he's going to die, and he's got like this damaged relationship with his wife and his son, and he wants to get right with the Lord and rectify his mistakes in life. He meets this traveling pastor, this youth pastor, who is played marvelously by Linz Edwards. And the pastor's like, all right, well, if you want to get right with the Lord, I'll help you with that. And it spirals into like a selfish conquest of self-healing and faith questioning, and it was just magic.
Watching Heretic last week and being just kind
of
like,
was
and then watching this and being like,
to tell Crew
oh
was like,
yes,
dude, I watched Heretic last week and that shit did not move me at all. This movie is it. This is it right here.
The way that the pastor Joel is like that young, edgy YouTube pastor, so good.
God, the costuming.
Oh my gosh, he's
God,
so
the costuming.
Good.
I truly like.
There's so much to say about this movie that we can't say.
Movie. Yeah, I cannot. All I will say is that the youth pastor is not quite what he seems. You get that vibe immediately from it. And go look this up on Instagram. Go look up Angel of Light film. There's a couple of clips from it and stuff on.
Well, and also it's going to be San Francisco Film Festival, and so it'll be streaming for a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, the Another Hole in the Head Film Festival. I will be sending out a link to it when it starts streaming online for that, because you guys have got to see this movie. I told Crew this
Tight
is an
90
instant
minutes.
Cult horror classic. I was absolutely floored by just its sense of self, the way it just flows and cuts, and like the editing in this was just marvelous. Unintentionally funny, to a perfect point. I really just soaked up every ounce of this project. I thought it was so awesome. I've not been able to stop thinking about it.
No, it was, again, like I said, I'm just a guy talking into a microphone. Second favorite of the week.
Yeah,
I personally...
This was number one for me.
Really
Bob Trevino likes it was... Yeah.
I think that, I'm more attuned to find a comfort movie like that and just really latch onto it. That's kind of my niche. But this certainly stood out to me as just an incredible movie. And I really, again,
good. Oh my God,
another one I hope to take people to in theaters.
Well atmospheric. Without saying too much, there's like a midway Barbarian-esque perspective shift in the middle of this movie, and it was so perfectly effective and just carried that energy all the way through to the end of the movie. Damn, Crew, you fucking killed it with this one, dude.
It's so good.
I know
we gushed to you,
complimented him as much as I possibly could, but holy shit, this was just an excellent movie. I cannot wait to get this in some form or fashion on a physical release. By hell or high water, I'm going to get this thing on DVD or Blu-ray or 4K or whatever works out, because we
will have it.
This is something I'm showing to my grandkids. I absolutely adored this one. It will be, like we said earlier, it'll be at the Another Hole in the Head Film Festival later this year. So I will definitely be keeping you guys posted. There's going to be a place to stream this at some point, and you guys need to do it. This movie deserves every single flower you can give it.
Easy 90 minutes, just incredibly enjoyable.
It was really cool. We got to talk to Crew, briefly. We touched base with him a couple times over the weekend. I can only imagine how busy and exhausted everybody was, because by Sunday, everybody was feeling it. By afternoon,
we're
on Saturday,
tired. We don't even have
them.
We don't have any
I didn't have the stress
of
showing a movie at this festival. But damn, it was just so cool. And also, the lead actor, David Bryan Alley, dude, he was gold. He's such
and also another incredibly cool guy.
A Tunisian, just a stud. We have stickers of him now that Crew gave us, and it's him toasting a beer, which is just awesome marketing material. David Bryan Alley as Tom Martin, Linz Edwards, transcendent as Joel Bradham, the youth pastor. Kelly Shipe as Linda Martin, Tom's wife, and Luke Ashley as Ben Martin, who I mentioned earlier was also in Bless Her Heart, Eli Short. I want to give this a round of applause. I really, 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 really love this movie.
I would, but that would make the microphone clip.
That is a fact. I've already been clipping like a madman. So, moving on.
We're really excited!
That was how we ended our Saturday night. And by the time it was like midnight 30 when we got home, and I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. So we get up Sunday morning, we go to Mass, we make our way up to the festival, and we start Sunday with The World Drops Dead, directed by Brandon Colvin. This movie was fascinating.
It was incredibly interesting.
It was so... It ruminates on itself. And
100%.
And I think that... I was talking to Megan and Emily after the showing of this, and it was interesting to see the way that it kind of gives you the room to think about these things. It was very, very artistic in that sense. Very lingering, very thought-provoking and thoughtful. And it basically deals with a young woman struggling to cope with her father's suicide, which just... I don't think that's a spoiler, because it's a main factor of the film, but the image of her dad's suicide that's something that's going to stick with me. That is nuts. I
had so many questions about how they filmed that.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about it just in case you guys do get to see it. This movie did win some accolades at the awards ceremony. I think rightfully so.
Also, I think it's worth mentioning that this takes place in a Quaker community, and so that kind of lends itself to the
closed off nature of it.
Like you said, the ruminating and the silence, and yes, the closed off nature of it. It feels there's not a lot of different locations in this film, and it
opens on a shot of Silence Is God, just a copy of Silence Is God laying on a table, and that is the MO for this movie.
100%.
Just how it operates, and it really gives you that room to think about it. I thought it was really, really an interesting watch, and
following this was a short film by the same director. It was an animated short film. 10 minutes long?
Yeah. Was it When the King Returns, or...
I
totally forgot the name of it. I was trying to find it in the program earlier, and it wasn't in there.
Okay.
But yeah, another, very similarly themed thing. It was cool to see, a consistent image across Brandon's input. It was really cool.
Similar, like you said, themes and core stories, but very differently told. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was a very interesting watch.
Yeah. Brandon, way to
kudos,
go, dude.
Really.
This was all filmed in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, by the way. Very local work. And he just absolutely kicked ass with these two. So, yeah, that was the way we started off our Sunday morning. We only had one more screening after that. We technically had two. The Empire was the last film, but it happened after the award ceremony, and at that point we were all like, well, let's just go to the after party and say hey to everybody. But our closing film was Ephus. This one's been circulating a little bit. I have seen that this has been out there.
This was such a fun movie.
Yeah, this is directed by Carson Lund and written by Michael Basta. It's about a recreational baseball league that are playing the last game on this field that they have a long relationship with. And when I say recreational baseball league, I'm not talking out of college, mid-30s, that kind of stuff. These guys are 40s, 50s,
there's a couple college
decrepit
kids,
bodies, and my God, they had the dialogue down to a T.
And it's so fun dealing. There's 9 players on each team, but then you also have the couple coaches and a couple other characters. We're dealing with a cast of 22 people, and the way that each character is fully fleshed out
and know they know the tells of another one. It was so fun. I really had a blast with this one. I could not stop thinking about Richard Linklater during this movie, and everybody wants some. And he mentioned Linklater and oh damn it, what was the other one?
I can't remember. Something while you're thinking about that, something I wanted to say about this was, again, just kudos to Darren about the pacing and scheduling of these movies, because this
Robert
was
Altman. That's what I was trying to think.
This was just such a good one to end with, because it was so easy to, after watching, at this point, I think 10 movies, engage and disengage with, and kind of like think about what I had seen, think about what I was seeing, and yeah, just a great hangout movie.
Easy, and they had
turn it
Darren
on when
Hughes
people are coming over and drinking.
Build this as a hangout movie.
Talk over it. Watch scenes of it that are great.
Yeah.
Which what scenes aren't great and
no,
funny.
There's so much fun stuff going on in this, and I was really thoroughly impressed by the foreground dialogue
and the background
dialogue because
exactly
there is constantly like this push and pull between which two characters are being shown having a conversation right now and just listening to all the guys shit talking in the background. It was so much fun.
And like it feels like something that you could revisit a lot again and find something new every time.
Yeah, find a new line that you're just like, oh, that is insanely funny.
The Q&A for this one was super fun. He talked about finding the field and stuff like that, and they said that they went to like 30 or 40 different locations, and then they decided on this one. And it actually, at some point, the Yankees and Red Sox had played a game on this field, which is just super cool because it's teeny, it's rundown, it's nothing
I'm
exciting.
trying to remember the name of the blue team. Was it the River Dogs?
It was the River Dogs and Owl's Paint. Owl's Paint.
That is just magic, dude. I had so much fun with this, like seeing all these beer gut old dudes. Also, I can't remember who it was, but two stars from Uncut Gems showed up in this, and actually, the main guy from Uncut Gems had to leave filming like in the middle of it, so they had to write him out. And the guy that played a bigger role in this movie. Yes, yeah. The way that they exit him is with another star of Uncut Gems, and it is just
it's great.
Oh my god, like brilliant. It's so funny, but it also like very very quietly bittersweet, like a bunch of dudes trying not to have like, any emotion.
Yeah, and just trying to like honor this and
lose. I mean, they're all talking about like, all right, let's go out and get a beer after this, and they're all, the game is progressively just being like one of those games, one of those baseball games where you're just sitting, you're like, oh my god,
like it goes into the nighttime. It's great.
So they just keep playing, and they're like, should we go home? And they're like, we have to finish this game.
I wanted to mention one more thing from the Q&A that was like at the very beginning of this movie, you see a date being written on the paper, like this kind of scorecard, and so they hadn't decided when this movie took place. They just knew they wanted Sunday. They wrote Sunday, October 16th. And they looked back, and the last Sunday, October 16th, had been in like 94, and they were like, perfect. We want it to be nostalgic. We love the 90s. Like that's kind of what we had in mind.
There is so much
and I love that after they had already
grew up in the 60s core to these guys, like the radio. There's one guy that carries around a radio that's just constantly replaying old games, and it's just so funny because he's like, oh, this one's gonna be a real barn burner, and the guys are like, oh, who is it? He's like from one of the other guys, like, this is from 1971. Oh man, it was so much fun. Great, enjoyable movie. Yeah, I would definitely going onto the shelf with like just those good hangout fun movies.
Yes,
it is easy, 100%
easy watch. Throw it on,
and just fun, all around fun. And like Emily said, a very good note to close out on. So after this, we went to the award ceremony. This was, I mean, obviously the closing feature of the weekend, apart from the Empire, which we didn't watch. But yeah, it was just cool to see like everybody in the same room. It was cool to see everybody that had been involved with this project and this festival, and it just truly, like, it was funny moving from EFIS to this, where it was like a nostalgic come down to a nostalgic come down. Like I was just like, again, damn, I cannot believe this is over. Yeah, I truly, it had so much fun with this.
It was an incredible time. I cannot wait for next year.
This community is awesome. I was so inspired. I was so invigorated by so many people that I got to see this weekend, and like, you guys are doing the work. You guys are kicking ass day after day, and just really,
you're the people making it happen, like
taking the sacrifices to get your art out there, and
taking the risks, because how, like, y'all are brave.
That's what it's about. That is what it's about. Like, you guys don't even know how cool I think you are. Like, this is just so fantastic.
And something like I kind of again want to compliment everybody that contributed to this is, dude, I, as a just podcaster and viewer of movies, was so emotionally taxed by all of the different stories and different trauma and how quickly we experienced it
I
all.
mean, we had never watched. I
Six
guarantee
movies
you,
in one
I've
day.
never watched that many movies.
Six
in a day,
movies
ever.
in one day was
Like I've
kind of
done
crazy.
triple features. I've maybe like pushed a quad feature in there.
Also, movies in a theater, like, dude, the most that we've ever done is Barbenheimer.
There comes a point where you're just like, this chair is like an airplane chair.
No, like, you live there. But as I was saying, so incredibly emotionally taxing to go through all of this, and I cannot even imagine what it must be like as one of these artists to be putting something of their own out and also be experiencing all these other things and just interacting with all these people.
It was so cool to see them mutually supporting each other.
Oh yes, everyone was so excited for everyone. They're like, it didn't feel like competitive. No. Everyone just wanted to support the art.
Everybody wants their shot and is willing to help each other to get there. I
100%.
I applaud you guys. This was so unbelievably cool. So again, thank you to everybody that put this together. Thank
Seriously.
you to everybody that participated. And this is just this is not facetious. I genuinely think this was the most fun time I've had watching movies in the past couple of years.
100%.
This was something I will truly never forget. It was such an amazing experience.
Being with all those like-minded people and just hearing different opinions and different interpretations.
Yeah,
and it's just so cool.
Getting to mingle and introduce ourselves to people around and them just being like, oh, you have a podcast that's so awesome, and like, what's your information? It is so cool to like.
And thank you guys for that, because that's exciting.
That
for
same
us.
love, that same community support. Like this is what I do it for. This is what we started this show for, and it's just cool to see like you get the insider track, that you get to see everything but the camera. And we bring it to the couches. And I just loved it. You guys rock so hard. So it was so cool getting to meet everybody over the weekend. It was awesome getting to mingle with people at Scruffy City for the after party. Like I said,
if we met you and we didn't mention you, shout out, because y'all, like, everybody was
you all
so
hold
cool.
a special place in my heart. I really this was amazing, and I will be around. So if you ever see me. If you want to reach out to us on Instagram and do an episode with us, if you want to do a weekly highlight, you want to talk about anything that we saw over the weekend.
If you want to talk about, if you made a short film and you want to talk about it,
please come on and promote it, because I am this enthusiastic about this stuff all the time. Like I just want to see this level of innovation, because like as somebody that's trying to get into screenwriting themselves, this is that lifeblood, this is that lifeline, and it was so unbelievably amazing to see that firsthand through so many people this weekend. Truly. So Knoxville Film Festival, I will be back next year.
We love you.
Tiff, you can keep it. Toronto, I'm not going to Toronto. Whatever. I'm not flying overseas. I will go to the Knoxville Film Festival every year. This was an absolute blast. So seriously, congratulations to everybody that participated in this. Congratulations to everybody that helped set it up. I think you
congratulations and thank you again.
Seriously.
Thank you.
This was an amazing time for us. So we'll be around. We'll keep floating around Knoxville and seeing you guys. You know, there's a couple people that I exchange contact info with and stuff. So I definitely hope to see some more of you in the future. Okay. I'm going to stop gushing about it now. I'm glad that we got to do this. This was not as long as I thought it was. I think we actually pretty gracefully moved through all this.
We kept it tight.
I was worried that we were just going to gush about Anora at the top of this. So,
but you know what? Here's my thing. I feel like Anora's going to come back for a weekly highlight.
We will continue to talk about Anora. There will be some more conversations.
It's one that you don't really... Again, it's so hard to talk about some of these movies without spoiling them. Yeah. And what's so great about, like... yes, we're going to come back to Anora.
Keep an eye on our social media. I will also, as we continue to progress through the years, we start seeing, some of these films getting distribution, getting on streaming, that kind of stuff, getting on VOD. I will be letting you know, because I really think that you should check out each and every one of these.
I genuinely think that if there's anything that has received or will receive distribution from this festival, we probably will revisit it and
100%. I
go
will
see it in theaters to support it and talk about it again and be able to talk about it in more detail.
This is, I keep saying it, but like this is the lifeblood of the industry. This is the magic that makes these things so wonderful. Is the discovery. It's the personal testimonies. It's all of these things that just coalesce into it. I kept the word that kept running through my brain the entire weekend was transcendent. I was like, this is a transcendent movie experience. Like, just seeing all of these different things and seeing how they play off of each other, how they relate to each other, and how they don't, and how they separate each other and make themselves unique. And you guys all have just incredible vision, and I am so glad that we got to share in that this weekend. That's it.
I think I'm gonna go take a big fat nap, and then I'm gonna process
after
and continue
a hard day's
this
work.
festival.
Just returning to the office on Monday, I was like, wow, this is a cold hard reality check compared to just like the
it was a day.
I told Emily last night as we were leaving Scruffy City, I was like, you see me walking right now. I'm not walking, I'm floating. This was just such a fun weekend. Thank you guys again. So stay tuned. This week we are getting into the Thanksgiving season.
Yes, this is a family classic for us.
And we will be doing a family movie night on Wednesday. Hey, if you want to come over to, you're part of the family night. Wednesday night, we will be watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and we will be covering it on our weekly highlight on Thursday. This is a personal favorite of mine. John Candy and Steve Martin are I cannot wait. I cannot wait to talk about it. I don't want to get into it too much because I'll run out of content, but this is one of my favorite holiday movies. Like we do Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving. We do Christmas Vacation for Christmas.
I was going to say this is akin to Christmas Vacation for me, but I also like Christmas Vacation, which they turned on at the Scruffy City after party, which I just felt like a perfect round off moment.
No audio, and I was still singing Holiday Road. We'll be talking about Planes, Trains later this week. Thank you guys for listening. I'm so excited to all the new people that are tuning in. We've got nothing but good things to come. I mean, there's so much more good stuff coming out this year. We have Emilia Perez is going to be on Netflix pretty soon.
I think it is.
Is it out? No.
I think it is. I think it came out this weekend and we missed that. But
there was too much going on. Gladiator 2 is out now. We're waiting for Gladiator 2 because Rachel wants to go see it on Thanksgiving. Rachel and Riley want to see it, so we'll probably have them on the pod at some point to talk about it. Wicked,
I'll be going to see Wicked. I'll be going to see Moana too. Don't worry.
Yippee-ki-yay. The Brutalist. The Brutalist is coming out.
Confirmed. Emilia Perez is on.
Okay, good to know. We've got a lot to talk about. There is a massive influx of stuff moving into award season. I know I've been saying it for weeks, but
Anora really kicked it off.
Yeah, this was the spiking the ball in the end zone and being like, all right, let's see the punt. I want to see this return. And we're getting there. So bear with us. We're just going to keep cruising through over the next couple of weeks. I cannot tell you how much your support is appreciated, and to everybody that's listening to this, know that I support you.
Thank you for listening.
In your
Thank you for
endeavors
being
as much as you support us in ours, and you guys are truly the best. So, any old who, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna rest up, but we'll see you again on Thursday for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. DM us on Instagram if you have anything you want to talk about, and we'll be hanging around.
Yes, sir.
Good night, everybody.
Have a lovely day, evening, whatever time of the day you're listening to this. I hope it's great.
This is daylight savings time.
I wish it wasn't.
It will be eventually.
Well, isn't it?